I've gotten comments on the glasses on my head thing, so they are to the side today. Let's hope I don't lose them. If they're not on my head, I tend to lose them. I gotten comments about that thing right there, the water pitcher. Like, why is your office such a mess? And the answer is because it's my office and I need hot water for coffee. But there's no question about what this is and where we are and how we've gotten here. Today, of course, is Bubble Friday. There's nothing like soap bubbles popping in your coffee to make you know that you're having a pretty good day. So cheers to that. Hopefully you've had a cup of coffee or two or 10 based on how late you've been up. Or if you're winding things down, congratulations for actually having the end of your day. Bubble Friday is a celebration of the end of the work week. When you get to your 5 or 6 or 10 days, whatever you have, and maybe it's not quite there yet, but keep this message top of mind as you get closer to your actual end of your work week. It's a day where we take some time to kind of exhale and breathe out the past 5 days and just prepare for a day of hopefully rest and some relaxation. For some of us who don't quite know how to stop working, rest and relaxation doesn't ever actually come about, but that's just sort of a thing just to shoot for. So we do that by, when the bubble wand doesn't get stuck in the bottle, you may have to go to the bottle. This is live, folks. Things happen. But luckily, we have a backup. Bubble wands get stuck. You have a backup. So we do this by blowing bubbles. Because this is kind of a cheap, easy, yes, really relatively silly way to kind of show and celebrate. But you're literally blowing away the stress of the last week. If you tend to imbibe in other types of bubbles, alcoholic kinds, no problem with that. I had a couple last night as I watched debate number 3, which sometimes you just got to do that to get through things like that. Do it responsibly. Make sure you have a designated driver if you're going out someplace, and just make sure you are of age. We don't condone underage bubbles of that types, but everyone can celebrate bubbles of this types anytime they want to. So Bubble Friday is also a chance for me to do a little bit of live stream chit-chatting. And so if you see this thing either live or see this on a replay in the future, just pop something in the comments. Let me know. I'll comment back as soon as I can. Friday, this time in the morning, about 8 o'clock Central Time, is essentially the only time I get a chance to really do these things semi-uninterrupted. My phone is here, and within about 15 minutes, it will start ringing with requests, things to do, so things going on. As you can see, a little bit different look other than the glass to the side. I've actually groomed up a bit. I have to attend a wedding tonight, so it's basically right after work, so I had to basically shave up and get ready to go. Jump from here. Don't know where it is. I just know it's out there, so I've got to do my best to kind of make it on time. It is what it is for the day. But for Bubble Friday, we're going to make this kind of quick. Like I said, I got a lot of stuff to get into and a lot of things to get to today, and a wedding to get to going back in. And I actually have a sort of prepared theme for today. Now, this is a message that did not work out to go into my Welcome to Your Monday messages because I can't figure out how to make it a little bit longer, believe it or not. The Welcome to Your Monday is a podcast now and still is a weekly message that you can get by searching for Welcome to Your Monday on Facebook and Twitter. It's Welcome to Your Monday on Facebook, and it's WTY Monday on your Twitter, because Welcome to Monday was too long. And every Monday morning, about 8:35, basically time has gotten away. 8:35, we post it on that actual the services. And if you just go to the website, welcometoyourmonday.com, it gets posted, 1 in the morning on Monday morning with a new message, a new picture image, and a detailed, deeper dive into the actual message in the in podcast form. Now, the quick message is made to be quick, easy, take it in and go along your way. This message is something that I came up with about a week ago. It's been sitting in my little note bin, and I can't seem to expand it to fit the Welcome to Monday messages. But this is something I want to talk about now because it really goes well with what happened last night and looking forward. People whose words have no consequences are people who themselves are of no consequence. And maybe the consequence may be flipped. It was a quick thought, so I put in the note thing there. What we have in that message is just a thought process. Something I actually like to say is if there's nobody out there who is fighting against you, if you literally have no haters in the world, then you're probably not doing very much in the way of being useful in the world, doing anything that's progressive in the world, doing something that matters. Because if you're doing something that matters, and that means a change in something, somebody who likes the status quo won't like that change, won't want to have to deal with that, and will do what they can to oppose you or at least not like you very much. So if you're a kind of guy that literally everybody loves, you're either really, really great or you're not affecting any change. Because trust me, people that everybody loves have people that don't like them very much. And sometimes because everybody loves them and not the person in general. So if you're a person and you feel that you can get away with saying anything, doing anything, just keeping it real without any consequences whatsoever, then you are a person who doesn't particularly matter. If you're that guy at work and you are the one that rambles and rattles off stuff and just is loud and pops off all the time, and no one tends to reprimand you, no one tends to talk to you about it, no one really thinks about it, they just let it go, you're not all that important. You're taking up space. You're a cog in a wheel that as soon as they can find someone to actually replace, who probably is, either much more amenable, a whole lot less expensive, they can replace you. You're keeping you on for some reason other than the fact that they like you, they enjoy you, the work you do is good. They keep you on basically because, oftentimes, a empty seat is less profitable than having you there. And the moment that you being there is of less profit than that empty chair, then you will be replaced by the empty chair and as quickly by someone filling that chair as possible. So if you're a person who thinks they can get away with saying things without any real consequence and saying whatever you want to, truth or not, then you probably don't actually matter if there are no actual consequences. Case in point, last night on October the 22nd, second of what were three scheduled debates, and now final debates for the presidential campaign, President Donald Trump, former Vice President Joe Biden, got to speak for 90 more minutes on words. I'm going to give Donald Trump lots of props for his performance last night because it was not the blank show, fill that in whatever you want to, that it was 2 weeks ago when he was just rambling and talking over stuff and interrupting. There was plenty of rambling and talking over and interrupting and weird conspiracy theory stuff. In fact, some new ones to pull out of the bag of tricks. But as far as being civil, as far as being able to understand the conversation, as far as being able to kind of just listen and get to know the person and how they answered the questions and how they responded to the other person's responses, it was a much better performance by Donald Trump. In contrast, or actually not in contrast, on the same vein, I should say, it was a better performance by Joe Biden, who on the first one didn't do so well, and this one did a little better. In a personal note, I already voted. I'll talk about that in a second. But on a will these guys persuade me in give me their vote? There was no way that was going to happen with that debate, any debate of the debate. But what I saw was a very easy to explain and a very easy to break down example of who the people are, how they present themselves in, the molded but similar situation of debate with similar questions from one person and a complete 180 in actions. Now, I am not sure why Donald Trump was so hard on Chris Wallace. I think he likes Chris Wallace. Chris Wallace may actually peg him a little bit too much. I think he likes Chris Wallace, but I don't know why he was so hard on Chris Wallace. I kind of understand why he was mouthing off about Steve Scalise. That's an issue there. In the third debate, second debate moderator, Kristen Walker, who obviously is a woman, but also is a active member of the White House press corps. He actually, when she got the job last year or so on a press conference, congratulated her for getting the job, and then days before the debate, started pegging her for being, being biased, and then actually inside the debate, thanked her for the great job she was doing. So this was a complete change of whatever, not change of heart in the way that he responded, but change of heart and change of play in the playbook that he played with for this debate. Did it win anybody over? I watched the debate on a different channel, so it had less pop-ups in it. But then I turned to CNN for the backdrop and watched CNN this morning for the analysis. And what came through, CNN had a batch of undecided voters who they always do undecided voters who rate the debate as it goes on. And at the end of the debates, I think it was seven believe that Biden won, two were kind of like it was a tie. No said that Trump won. It replayed a clip of a guy who kept talking, or I guess we'll say clips, so he kept talking, who voted for Trump last time, was on the fence this time, and basically said, listen to him answer, because you can hear him answer this time. Listen to the way he answered things, and listening to the lack of empathy in the words he used were essentially a serious turnoff that he did not expect. And now he basically had a good idea of where he was going with that. So the words that you say, the words that were said last night mattered. How they were said mattered. Who they were said by mattered. And the rebuttal from who, how, and what was said mattered. So as you go out into the world today, your homework for today is to keep track of what's going on in your mouth, or out of your mouth to be exact, the words that are coming out of your mouth. I need you to take a 2-second block and think about some of the words you're saying as you're saying them. Now, most cases, we literally just sort of spout out things just because it's whatever comes to mind and you're having a conversation and it happens. But I've been in situations in the past few days where I've talked with various people, and a lot of it's been about politics. I've voted. I was in line voting on Monday morning. I had some interactions with some candidates between Monday and today in informal settings. They did not know that I had already voted, so they were just there doing their pitches at certain places. And based on how they spoke, based on how people spoke in line, based on how things are going on, you get a general sense of who they are. But you get a general sense of who they are from that interaction only. I stood in line with a person who I may have met in the past in my radio days, because he actually seemed to be he's a big time person in the Arkansas Golf Association, and I worked with the show that dealt with golf and Arkansas Golf Association people that were in there. So I think I actually met the person in the past, wearing masks, and in the situation, there's no way to kind of go back to that. But not that we got big into politics, but we got big into other situations, and it was a good conversation, because I was in line. We were around a bunch of guys, older white gentlemen. There's a lot of talk about golf, and because I have decided that just golf's not my thing, I joined the conversation in a polite manner and spoke the words I knew about golf, and said I was pretty much an amateur at it, and kept the conversation basically very, very just compliant, because we were in line to vote. It wasn't my job to either try to persuade these people to think my way, or tell them that golf is really kind of boring and dull and hard to play in some cases and gets in the way of things. My personal feelings on golf, we'll talk about later, but that wasn't my time to bring it up when people were just sort of just passing the 3 hours it took to get to the voting place. Now, with the candidates, they were literally popping off the campaign trail, talking to people, shaking hands, kissing babies, or with the masks on, which is really weird to see. And so, because they're in campaign mode and they're around their people, it wasn't there. I wasn't actually in line at a rally or of some sorts, but they're just sort of in between modes and checking on things and doing interviews and things in here. And oftentimes, when you're not thinking about it, when you think you're in your own zone, you let free some of the things you really think. Like I said, I was in line for 3.5 hours waiting to get to the door to vote. And I was talking to some older white gentlemen who were very into golfing. And the conversations were very interesting, but I didn't care about golfing. At that point in time, golfing was the most interesting thing in the world. It was one of the biggest conversation writers because it was something that I knew enough about to talk about. And we could have a good conversation and not yell in the line going to vote. Some of the things that some of the candidates said were not the prettiest thing in the world. And it wasn't shocking because I've dealt one-on-one with candidates who've had to try to convince me they needed airtime. And the things they said were not quite so shocking when you're literally begging for a job, going out there asking for votes to get people to give you or keep a job. So you have to be careful of the words that you say. And you have to be careful of the situations that you're in. You have to be extremely mindful of the people around you, even if they're not necessarily in your conversation, because people pick up on the nuances of you just in general. I've met I've met one particular politician whose presence is like a block of ice. And I've been in his like physical presence. I've had very short conversations, as in sort of, here's your seat, sir. Here's a bottle of water. Here's how you wear your headphones. But just in his presence, and actually, I actually bumped into him like in the general area at an airport once, and the general just aura of him is just sort of nasty. It's just bad. If you hear me talk about him in other settings, you would know who he is, and you would know how I feel about him on a politician level and on just kind of a human level from just his actions. But just being in his presence, you get around him and he just has that sort of aura. People have that kind of thing. And it's just something that people have, people do, people can't really control. And you've got to be careful on how you are presenting yourself, because this is the person, like I said, one of those people who is technically begging for a job, but he speaks to people, enough people that feel the way he feels, or at least will put up with him to do things, get things done. But you got to be careful on who you speak to, because somebody may know you as the quote unquote famous person. Back when I was more active in radio, and people would hear me literally, I'd be in Walmart talking to my wife about something, and people would say, "You're the traffic guy," and then he'd start talking to me about traffic. And so when that would happen, I couldn't just kind of just kind of blow them off, because to them I'm kind of famous, and I couldn't be a jerk in the store because to them I'm kind of famous, and I represent my station. I represent the people I work with, and people will say, I've met that traffic dude. He's such a jerk, because I've said that to plenty of people I've met in various cases. I've met this quote unquote famous person. This one's cool. This one was a little odd. This guy was out in bad day, so we let him go. This guy was just devilicious, and we just couldn't deal with him. So the people that you may not be in conversation with, who can spill out your conversations, it's important to be a bit guarded, if you will. Hot mic moments, hot camera moments. Just assume. I mean, when you're in the broadcast, and you assume that there's a microphone on when you walk into the room, so you don't just walk into the room just yelling at people. You walk in, make sure no one's talking, make sure mics are off, and then you can say whatever you want to say. And if you are playing a role, prime example, Larry the Cable Guy. We had Larry the Cable Guy. The host I was producing for 15 years ago, had Larry the Cable Guy on when he was promoting one of his TV shows, when he was going around America and just visiting people and whatnot. And between the breaks, you check out on him, regular guy. Hit the mic, do the introduction. He does the Larry the Cable Guy voice. He becomes Larry the Cable Guy persona. When he's out and about doing performances, doing tours out in the way, he's got to put on those airs. But when he's hanging out backstage someplace with the rest of the comedians, he could be dude. He can just chill out and not have to voice, not do all the stuff. And so there are people who expect things out of you, especially in the politician world. People expect you to be at a higher standard, have to do things. We are all fallible. They are all fallible. So don't think that you're not getting caught in a moment where things are going to be bad. But you have to be mindful of the words you're saying to the people you are talking to, because you may, depending on how long you've known them and what situations we're coming through, you may not know the full background, you may not know what they've gone through, and you don't actually know what they think and what may trigger them into some sort of bad feeling. You got to be careful about people who are in the general area, because you have no idea who they are. You have no idea what they think. You have no idea what they're going to pull from this situation and send forward. One more thing on that sort of note. In my conversation project posting this week, we did post a link to a video that had Troy Aikman and Joe Buck mocking, for lack of a better word, a flyover at a football game they covered. Just sort of just talking about the goofiness of it. And it went viral because it was, they're mocking America. The point of the mocking was a flyover at an empty stadium, and it was actually a practice flyover at the empty stadium before the game started. So not only was it in front of people who couldn't see it, it literally didn't matter for the game. And they were just kind of go from like, there's your textiles at work. Now, the flip side is those things. I will always defend flyovers, because those are tax dollars that were actually spent 3 or 4 years ago. This is a flight that's on the books. They need that training hours, so that's no big deal. I will defend any sort of flyover whatsoever. I will defend Troy Aikman and Joe Buck because there wasn't a hot mic moment where the flyover was happening. If then there would have been normally people in the stands. This was a practice run a few hours before the game that somebody had the recorder rolling, because it's practice, and leaked to the public to sort of mock Joe Buck and Troy Aikman because maybe they have beef. Hot mic moments, you got to be careful. You're thinking you're chatting back and forth with your boys, and somebody coughed this and threw this out there. Now, it's wrong for what the guy did to send it out to the world. I'm going to defend Joe Buck and Troy Aikman for, pre-game banter, just getting in the moment and doing what they're going to do, because they got to loosen up for the game. But you have to be careful, because perceptions become reality extremely quickly as soon as you see something. There was all that heat about them just bantering on about the flyovers and hating America and whatever, when the context was wrong and the situation was wrong as well. So with that being said, as I said already, I stopped everything Monday morning, and I'm still essentially out of whack because I went to vote Monday morning bright and early. I dropped off JJ at school, got in line, had my coffee made already, had a Pop-Tart in my pocket, didn't stop for snacks or breakfast, got in line at 7:30. Our polls opened at 8, and it took an hour and a half to get to inside the building to do my vote. Because of COVID-19, they have a whole lot of protocols. Not many people are allowed in the area. There was distancing, plenty of social distancing. Your 6 feet may vary in a line that's 3.5 hours long, but there was plenty of distancing, plenty of folks wearing masks, doing what they're doing, and some people complaining about it, some people not happy about it, but people were doing what they're doing because it's just general politeness. So this is my next to last chance to plea on this one. We have one more Friday, about 11 days until the election. It's on Tuesday, the 3rd of November. Very quickly. Hopefully you have seen some clips or seen the actual second debate last night. If you're undecided, this debate may have swung your vote one way or the other, or maybe not. If you are decided and just waiting to get out there, your early voting options are probably down to standing in line and early voting. Here in Arkansas, after the first day or so, it's gotten back to some semblance of normalcy, if you will. There's still about an hour or so of waiting right now. So we'll see what happens for weekend time. A lot of people stop at weekend, see if that turns into something. So it wasn't the 3.5 hours I had in my first day. Now it's about an hour or so. There are still people who can mail in their absentee ballots or their drop-off ballots wherever they are for various amounts of time. Based on your state, see how much time you have available left to do that. But the time is almost now. So November 3rd is going to be a long night into a long week. We'll see how long it takes to find out who exactly wins the election. So many mail-in ballots is going to make a big difference, and they all need to be counted and counted properly. But get out there and vote. If you are registered, in some places it's not too late to get registered. And if you don't think if you're not sure about your registration, you don't have the right things to go through, you can still, in many places, show up, cast a provisional ballot, they put it to the side, and then throughout the day and then a little bit of the next day, they basically do the research to make sure that you are who you are. So if you don't have the right ID, or you've changed your address and it's not there stated, or you can't find your voter card that has your new number and it's your very first time voting, they will do the work to figure it out. They will give you a provisional ballot and you will fill it out and they'll put it to the side. And then as the day goes by on election day, because that's the day they can actually check those things, they'll go through the ballots and see if they're valid or not. And if it's valid, you go into the pile and you get a vote. If it's not valid, it doesn't. And that's just how it works. All that to say, every election is important. You have the right to have your voice heard in the conversation of who gets to run your government and who gets to throw out your bills and who gets to say what they have to say, who gets to control what's going on. I say that your one vote out of many doesn't necessarily mean much, but your one vote in a block of many says a lot. So you make sure you go out there and vote. You make sure you talk other people of the same ilk, who have the same issues. They are up on issues and they go out and vote. You go out and talk to other people who are, don't understand the process. Maybe they agree with you, maybe they don't agree with you. The game is played the way the game is played. Talk to people who believe enough in some sort of cause and remind them that they have a right to have their say and put some skin in the game for what's going on. The most important thing about voting is if you vote and the guy or gal that you voted for does not win, and the guy or gal who wins is doing a terrible job, you have every right to complain because you literally tried to put up for the other person. I don't know if you heard that. That's a big, loud thunderclap. I didn't realize it's raining today, but it's we about to get some storms. So I know I'm gonna have some dealings with some of that stuff going on today as well. But vote. As the squirrel says, get out and vote. Right now, the best method is probably standing in line for early voting or showing up and standing in line as long as you need to for your election day. Figure out what candidates are the best for you, all the candidates down the line for all of the elections, and don't make excuses. If you are registered, go vote. If you're not registered, call your Secretary of State's office, check out the website, see if there's still time to be registered. There's still about 11 days to election day. You may not be able to get to early vote, but you may have a chance to get yourself set up the best way to go. So that's it. Thank you so much for stopping by for the morning, whether you were live or in person. I see Georgia in there. Good morning, Georgia. And as she says there in the Facebook chat of my Facebook page, Jay Cleveland Payne page, vote. And like I've said often, I don't particularly care who you vote for, or in some cases against. You may be voting against the person that I'm going for. That's not the point. The point is we all have an equal say. One vote, one voice in the message, and then we see what the majority says. And a 51-49 majority means a lot of people won't be happy with the result, but we all live with the result. That's why we are proud to be part of this experiment. They still call it an experiment. That is the United States and not Uzbekistan or Armenia or Ukraine, where we know there are issues, Nigeria, where we know there are issues, And it's not the peoples per se that are living there that are the problem. It's the fact that we've been playing with these rules here for over 200 years, perfecting them along the way, changing the rules that need to be changed and tweak them as they go along the way. But we know the importance of having that say, having that voice. And we're doing what we can. Yes, we're doing what we can. Most of us do what we can to make sure that the voice is equal and fair. Some people aren't. We won't get there today. So for your Bubble Friday, I am Jay Cleveland Payne. I have a bubble wand here. I have bubbles in my coffee. And I am enjoying spending a little time with you here on my Fridays. If you would, my ask for the day is go to welcometoyourmonday.com. Welcometoyourmonday.com. That's going to be the podcast that I'm going to beg for right now. Welcometoyourmonday.com. I brought it up earlier on. And that is where I have the Monday message of the day, message of the week, the Monday message. There you go. So every Monday, a new message, a very short message. It's short enough to fit in a tweet and has been expanded to Twitter-ish expansion. And the message that I couldn't figure out how to turn into a message, which when I do, it'll eventually get into the pot, is that people whose words have no consequences are people who themselves are of no consequence. So check yourself, check your mouth, keep an eye on your lips, and be mindful of what you're saying, because what you're saying, people hear, and when people hear, people have to perceive. They may or may not take it the way you want to go. They may take it exactly as you want to go, and that may be the problem. So over the weekend, next couple of days into the week, just be mindful of what you say. Take a half a second to churn that message in your head before you spit it out, and you may find that you're doing fine. And you may find that maybe the situations in where you're speaking freely, you should, if not speak less freely, maybe not speak so much, because you may be causing more trouble than you have thought about. Congratulations for getting up this morning, this rainy morning here, because some people did not have the ability, did not literally wake up this morning to open their eyes and see a cloudy October 23rd. Some people opened their eyes, looked around, and realized that this was not a good day for them to even move around, and are having to find the ability, the motivation, the energy to lift themselves up. So you have the ability to wake up, pull out your phone, and watch me talk for 30 minutes. So that means you got homework to do. Go out there and do something kind of cool, pretty awesome. And in the process, mind your words this week. Thank you so much for being here. And if you enjoyed it, let me know. If you didn't enjoy it, let me know. If you think I should take more time, and let me know. And we'll do this again, assuming nothing gets in the way, with less itchy nose and more coffee breaks next Friday. Thank you.